Welcome to the Cosmic Heart Podcast. I am your host, Jessica Hope, and I'm here with Abby. Abby is a gender fluid person, and I feel very strongly about having them on today. This is extremely important for us to have this conversation because I personally have witnessed in my experience, I've witnessed a lot of people dealing with the things that they're dealing with on a day-to-day level alone. My main reason for having you on today, and I mean, as I said, I go to those who are called, but my main reason for having you on today is so I'm actually more lesbian than I'm bisexual, but I'm more lesbian than anything. And I've personally dealt with really deep depression for a lot of years. So I actually lost my ex, not my ex-husband, but my ex. Me and my ex-husband were polyamorous, and I met someone named Louis. And I'll tell you the story about him later on, but I actually lost him. And he was also very gender fluid, and mental health and emotional health and spiritual health in the LGBTQ community is fucking crucial. And I literally have chills, but like it's crucial to talk about, to address, and to be open with. The way that the world has been programmed to see people who are gay, lesbian, etc., trans, has been extremely judgmental. And even when it's not overtly shown, or even when they don't believe that they are, the families will talk in a certain way privately in the home, and that translates into the children's minds as they're growing up. And even though they're like, no, I'm an advocate, or no, I support you, in the back of their mind, a lot of people still have a lot of judgment. And my main thing is reaching the world in a new perspective, to help people open up their minds and consciousness to realize that everybody is just people. And so I really wanted to give you a platform today, and I don't mean to put you in such big shoes. Maybe that's what you're here to fill, to speak openly from your personal experience. I know you don't speak for everybody, but from your personal experience, to share what does that look like for you going through life day to day, like even the little nuances, like the way people look at you, the way you're treated. Putting yourself out on social media is like, shouldn't be brave because you're literally just a person, but putting yourself out on social media, being gender fluid, is extremely brave in this world because obvious reasons. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to speak and share your story, and then I really want you to also share your offerings, because I know you said you do some art and you have a lot of gifts and stuff that you do.
Of course. Thank you for the wonderful intro. Yeah, I would love to talk about these things. These are like integral to my being. I think like there is a lot of blending of, I want to say, my gender practice, if you will, and my spiritual practice. I'll start by saying that I want to make sure I clarify that there are trans people who are born into a body that is like inherently incoherent with their soul. And so a lot of their trans experience is making adjustments to their external body so that it matches their internal soul.
Right.
And that experience is something I can't speak to. But I want to make sure that I made space for trans people because what I'm about to basically pop off about is like how a lot of my experience has to do with not at all being perceived as one gender or the other, like very outside of the binary. But there is really sacred truth in the binary for some trans people. So I don't want to like discount everyone's trans experience. So I want to put that disclaimer on the front end. For me personally, I didn't even really know anything about myself, if I'm being honest, until I got out of my family home and into college. And I went to school for costume design and was in theater, like a professional theater conservatory, for all 4 years, which is basically just a school full of playing pretend and learning how to play, like put costumes on and have performance in one way or another, and many different ways. So by the time I got out of college, and I was done with these like expectations of basically to shorten my college experience, I did not want to pursue what I went to school for by the end of it. I don't regret what I went to school for because I learned tremendously and I like have a lot of these lessons that I applied in many different ways. And I still like am very much in the realm of sewing for different reasons. But when I graduated, I was super lost because I was like, I have literally no idea who I am or what I want to do. It's definitely not this. That's just for sure.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even like out to myself about being queer. Like all of my friends were queer. There were so many people that were like, we're just waiting for you to come out. And I'm like, oh, well, I think girls are hot, but like I could never date one. Like just very silly, so far in the closet in many ways. And then in 2020, it was funny because my Saturn return was like during 2020.
Mm.
And my Saturn return is in, I can't remember what house number it is, but it's the house of death and transformation.
Oh,
So that's exactly what happened. Like I'm talking the before and after of Abby pre-pandemic and post-pandemic are like entirely different universes.
yeah.
I ended up doing my first medicine trip ever in 2020, and I did like a lot of it, and so it just rocket shipped me into a totally different world. And in doing so, I've never been so quickly like rattled out of my identities in my life. Like I lost everything that I knew to be true about the world I lived in, who I was, who I was attracted to, what I was going to be chasing, all these things. I was basically like made to be bald in every sense of the word, and then sat in some dark shit for a while, and then slowly but surely started gaining new information about what felt true to me. So I had like a massive spiritual awakening, a classic Kundalini experience, followed by this understanding of like, I think that, because at the time, let me back up. At the time, this beard that I have a beard and a mustache. It is natural. I'm not taking any testosterone. This comes from having PCOS, but I also know that it's like supposed to be here. Like this it just grows in this perfect little goatee. So I'm like, this is too perfect not to keep. But I had been plucking it every day since I was like 15. I've been plucking these little fucking hairs every single morning. And over the pandemic, I was gonna get laser hair removal. So during this like spiritual awakening, I had to grow out my hair to be able to get it lasered off. When I had it grown out, I was like in the Starbucks drive-thru. I'll never forget it. I was in the Starbucks drive-thru on the way to the consult, and then I was like, wait a minute, I use Snapchat's like bearded filters all the time because I look so hot with it on, and I have it for free. Why am I burning it off? So I ended up gifting my package of laser hair removals to a trans woman who really did need it, and I kept it and I like let it grow out.
I did those too a lot.
Yeah. I did have to like or not have to. I had the comfort and the privilege of wearing a mask during this time. So
Yeah.
as I was getting used to having a beard, I did not have to face the public for real because I had a mask on. It was a pandemic.
Yeah.
So I want to name that. Is that like my like birth into this was very soft, and so I'm grateful for that. And I don't discount that other people have had a different experience than me.
Yeah.
So because I had so much like time, kind of unencumbered by the public perception to figure this all out, I use non-binary as like a term, and I use they them pronouns, but it's basically just like the closest to what I am without actually touching it. Like I truly feel liquid in every form. Like a lot of my growing and learning of my own wounds and my spiritual process has to do with mirroring.
Yeah.
People are going to mirror back to you something that you need to know about yourself, whether it's something that you are scared of, that you are intrigued by, or you're inspired by. Whatever reaction I am having to a person or a thing across from me is an invitation for me to study that in myself or recognize it in myself.
Yeah.
The same to me is true about my gender. Like my expression is a mirror that is going to be different for every person that I'm in front of. And my quote unquote gender doesn't actually solidify unless it's being observed by a person who needs that definition. I have lots of other gender fluid friends. And in my group of friends, too, there are some like very feminine women. And then there's some really soft and hyper attuned and balanced masculine men as well. So I have this like spectrum of embodied spiritual people. We never talk about like gender. We don't have any experience with gender separation unless it's talking about like the womb and the concept of birthing new life or like we talk about masculine and feminine as energies constantly, but I don't ever feel my gender until I'm out in the public with people that I'm not close to all the time. My day job is customer service, so I have a ton of interaction with the public.
Yeah.
And the irony is that before I came out in every sense of the word as queer and genderless, whatever you may have, when I didn't have those identities, I was more uncomfortable with being perceived like 10,000 times more shameful and hated myself and didn't know how to belong and assumed everyone was like snickering behind my back and suffered way more bullying and ostracization before. And I think it had a lot more to do with my self-concept than it did to do with the external world. So now people, I mean, my job is in the county. So I'm not like around. I live in the Midwest. So it's not like the area that I work in is full of queer people being like, let's be queer together. It's like a bunch of Lowe's shopping ass, like backwards hat wearing blue collars that are like, I don't know what is going on. But it's an invitation for me to be like, I either slip into whatever drama is going on with the person across from me as they try to digest who I am, or I be whoever I am and I kind of play around with this temporary invitation to be an actor. And I can perform as a man. If you think that I'm a man in this situation right now, I'm going to perform as a man so I can learn what it's like for a man to be relating to who he thinks is a man. So I get like an inside scoop about what men to men do. Sometimes there's women who have beards but are like not in the game of growing it out. And so there's like a deep reverence that I get to experience because I see this person be like, that's what I would look like if I just didn't shave my beard every day. Some women are confused by their attraction to me. Some men are confused by their attraction to me. Whatever is being given to me, I think has a lot to do with my own self-concept. So that being said, I am very grateful that I don't really experience a whole lot of bullying or snickering.
Yeah.
I think that has much to do with my, I don't want to say delulu, but if I'm being honest, a lot of my reality is so because I convince myself that everyone has a crush on me. So if there's anything that anyone says that's mean, I'm like, it's because you can't handle the fact that you just want a bone. Like, that's what it is. So I think all in all, I'd like to say that all the world's a stage and everybody that I'm encountering or anyone is encountering, their hatred of has to do with their disconnection to themselves. And I think that gender queer people, trans people are some of the most sacred people on the planet because it takes a special kind of person to acknowledge your soul and its separation from your body and figuring out how to make those two merge, how to make those two sing to each other is a whole different ball game than just like trying to discover who you are on the regular. So I have such respect for trans people and I have such reverence for like anybody who is in that world but may not have words to articulate it. I think that queer people in general are kind of like the stewards of authenticity in this world right now. I had a partner who used to say, "Gender kills us all, so don't choke too hard on it." And I think that that's a really true statement. Like even people who aren't gender fluid, people who are fully like cis, they are like suffocated by expectations of what a man should be or what a woman should be, especially now. Like this is such a weird time because it feels like the pendulum is swinging so far back into a time that we learned about and learned how we got out of, and now all of a sudden we're back, but it's like resuscitating a dead body. Like it's not the same. And I think that that is something to notice just about like how dead and zombie like this version of resuscitation of old patriarchal ideas feels. Yeah, I think that.
So proud of everything you're saying right now, I just have to say.
Thank you.
No, it's absolutely, yeah, it's absolutely, I'm like, oh, okay, this is why. It's incredible. You're speaking things in ways that I couldn't, I'm good with words, but you're speaking it from your perspective and you're literally, it's just absolutely awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay, I don't even know what I was going to say next. I was just going to basically say that I call it my gender practice because it is so intertwined with my spiritual practice, like choosing how to flow and notice masculine and feminine energies and how that might impact my ability to feel emotions or how that might impact my ability to be in ritual or pray or whatever that may be. They're just very intertwined, my like physical expression and my spiritual practice.
I wanted to say something to what you were just talking about also, but I wanted to ask you a question first so I don't forget. When did you said bald in every sense. Did you
Hmm.
have to shave your hair?
No, good question. I was just like stripped of all identity.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
was just curious because I actually shaved all of my hair off twice, which is why it's short. I mean, it's actually grown out quite a bit lately, but gosh, what the first time I shaved all my hair off was um 2023, I think in like the summer or some fall, somewhere around there. And then I shaved it off again after we left where we used to live, put everything in storage, ended up, long story. We were living in a hotel off and on. Just crazy, crazy circumstances. I had a court date against my ex-husband, and that day I shaved my hair off again, and I was like done with that. And
Hair holds energy. That's
yeah,
like such a moment of reclamation.
yeah, it was a shaman. It was a shaman clearing. Um, so I also I've mentioned this in a recent recording, I think, but I hold the lineage. I'm a shamanist of the Monarchy, so I'm a shaman anyway. I already was, but I received the rights to the 40,000 year lineage of the Monarchy, and when I received the rights, I actually was told by the shaman that I already had the rights from a previous lifetime.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was cool, but I kind of already knew ahead of time. Like I sensed it. I was kind of like, do I really need to do this? But then I was called into it and then realized I needed to just know that I already am. I remembered her name, by the way. So if you ever see this, Brandy Cole.
Really cool. Amazing.
She was the first shamanist to receive the rights directly from the Andes and Amazon mountain shamans lineage come into America, and then I received them from her directly after. So that was pretty awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, because they weren't allowing anybody to receive the rights until 2012. Then the shamans from the main like hierarchy shamans said 2012 was the awakening process really deepening, and humanity needed an opportunity to awaken the current master souls, etc. I mean, I'm so much more than a shamanist, but it is one of the things that I am. So I wanted to also say, circling back to what you were just talking about, you said so many things that were just so important, and honestly, just I'm amazed because I really hope it reaches the hearts and minds and ears that it needs to, because it's such an important message. The roles, gender being what really does kill people. I get it, because I literally was just talking about recently, because I was like, I'm gonna move this, hopefully it's not super loud. Because I was like, in my mind, I was thinking this and I was meditating on it, and I was like, okay, back when, it must have been a preface to this conversation, but I was like, back when men were like only this, like, programmed to be the sole provider, the protector, etc. Okay, like that was like their thing, the hunter, the gatherer, the provider. He makes the money, the woman stays home and takes care of the kids, right, and the house. Women, not because of the economy and the everything being expensive on purpose, women have to work in these in these like, okay, you're a man and a woman, you're in a house together, you're married, you're having kids, that type of dynamic. The women still have to work because everything is so expensive. So the women are going to work, the men are going to work. I mean, this is like an ideal situation if you're, you know, in that sort of relationship. The men are going to work, the women are going to work. They're both making money. They're both coming home tired, but the woman is still required to take care of all the children's needs, to clean the house, to cook, to do the laundry, to manage everything, because most men don't literally do anything else but work. I'm sorry, but that's just the way that I've seen. And in those situations, and their thing is like, in their mind, it's cellular memories. They're tired, they want to put their feet up and they want to relax. The women are getting overworked. And I've experienced this myself, they're getting worked, they're becoming extremely burnt out. Their mental and emotional health is going to shit, and they're not able to even like hardly do what needs to be done for them to take care of their children, let alone their self. So their self usually comes last, and taking care of their well-being usually is last on the list, their husband being up there with the kids. And this isn't being talked about. And the
Right.
women that it is, but it's not. And the women that are speaking about it, a lot of that subconscious thought process, especially from the older generations, but even in our generations, are looking at them like, well, that's just your job. Like, you're a mom, don't complain. If you're going through a hard time, go to counseling, you know, take a bath, you know, whatever. Like, we've all been in that position where we like want to support a mom, but we don't really know how, you know. And I was in midwifery school, and one of the most, having home births myself, and going through the process of doula training and midwifery school. I didn't graduate midwifery school. It's something I may come back to when I'm older and my children are grown. It's like one of those things that it's a back burner thing. It may happen, but it may not. But when I was in midwifery school, the amount of women that were just like, I went to the hospital, I had a baby, I went home, no one was there.
Mhm.
didn't eat, I didn't shower, I couldn't do anything. I was sore, I was in pain, I couldn't move. Husband hardly helped. You were required to go back to work after what, however long. And it's like, it's just fucking insane. So there's so many aspects, layers, and levels to all of that, but I just wanted to say it is a massive conversation, and I really was literally just thinking about this in the last few days, and I was like, this is something that's funny. It really was a precursor to this conversation. This is something that needs to be addressed on a bigger level, and my thoughts on it were, I wonder how I could create like a reframing of a conscious conversation. And what I was seeing was like, this is how it was, and this is what the expectations were, but everything is different now. The economy is different, prices are different, housing costs are different, grocery costs are different. Everybody has to make money. So how do we reframe this whole dynamic to where men and women have this like new concept of how households should be run? Because I feel like a lot of them, because it's not a conscious conversation, it's just like you enter into a relationship, you get married, you have kids, and then you just day to day happens, and it just all happens, and you're just trying to survive. They're not thinking that deep.
Something that, and it's funny that you mentioned all this. I have learned, so I have a group, a bunch of friends. We call ourselves the Dream Lab. We started hanging out in efforts to see if a bunch of creative people spent enough time together, would we start to have similarities in our dreams? And not only was that true, but then we started to like be participants in a higher power's dream of a different thing. Like it was so bizarre. So we're like 3.5 years deep into this group, and it's taken different forms and had different motivations. But one of our core members got pregnant, like out of nowhere. It was not planned. And she had been engaged, but like they had not been married yet. And so it was unexpected. And these two people are like so the husband and wife that they met at a Divine Feminine retreat in Arizona.
Oh wow.
And her husband was the only man there. He is so embodied. I've never met a man so truly in his divine masculine and his divine feminine. Like it's completely interwoven. When I think about him, I think about like a double helix. He's just so there. And so is this is the wife, the mom.
Wow.
He is also like very ancient. Like her lineage is very Nordic, and so she has like Norse mythology just like pouring out of her pores. So she's so ancient at the soul. Also very, I'm like getting chills talking about her, very in her divine feminine, but like so receptive, and also like ability to be flowed into whatever is being called of her. She's so in her bag that she's able to kind of release expectation and like grip on how something's going to happen. So all this to say, they got married, and this baby, that she's like a couple months pregnant, and all at the same time she loses her job because her job was government funded, and so all of her like grant funded income disappeared. And then her husband was diagnosed with cancer in the same like couple weeks, and her husband is a movement coach, so all of his income also just halted because the cancer was in a part of his body that required obviously like being completely stationary while it was removed and healed. So I got to witness her be like, okay, I'm about to have a baby, and then all of my stability has just been ripped out from underneath me. I have nowhere to go but to fall into this. And she fell into us, and she had her own community outside us too. But she just like dumped her feelings into us, and we swooped in as a group, and it was completely biological and like ancestral and ancient. It was not anything having to do with like, oh, I'm feeling like I should do this. Like it was a call from the heart to be like, you're in need, we have extra to give right now. And it's like 2 points I want to make. Number one, a year ago I was like in this crazy situation with divine feminine. I felt super disconnected to it. It was when the Barbie movie was coming out and people were doing like girlhood videos, and I did not have a girlhood that was worthy of Barbie stuff. So I was like deeply in grief with feeling disconnected from women and from like my biology, even though like I didn't necessarily like walk around as a woman. I was still feeling like I just couldn't get the connection that I watched other women have. And I
Yeah.
was sad. And I also don't feel connected to men that way. So I was like,
I'm
who am I
actually
supposed to connect to?
right because and yeah.
Yeah. So I was in that, and I had another medicine trip that was crazy shamanistic. And I woke up out of this like period of a lot of gripping and pain and twisting. Like the front half of it was like very not painful for real, but like painful in the best way that I can say.
You're
And then it like birthed out into like infinite lines of these ancient crones of all different cultures. And it was this understanding of the womb bearer and how that is separate from like my concept of a woman. And that there is an inherent bond in people who have a womb that like that is bone deep type of connection. And that kind of transformed my whole feeling around femininity and womanhood. And so that is one point I want to make. The second point I want to make is that, dang, slipped my mind. ADHD
sorry.
strike again.
I'm really strongly feeling before I feel like you're going to get to the second point. That was so incredibly important that I wanted to have you repeat that.
Yeah, the womb bearer part.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a whole teaching by itself, but
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was totally transformative. The what was important about the experience was that the crones on either side were so, okay, I don't say this in a derogatory way. They were so old that it was hard to discern if they're a woman or a man. They like looked ambiguous,
yeah,
but I knew that everybody in the line was a womb bearer. And my trip was a birth of sorts. So the front half was very me in labor of whatever I was processing.
yeah,
And I was laying on my couch. And when I do medicine like that, I only do these huge doses because that's what I've done so far. I don't do them with other people. I do them with blindfolds on and then with the windows down at night and like a particular sound bath so that I can like really get into it and lose myself. And that's exactly what happened. So I went to this other realm, crazy, like pain, ripping, understanding of some other autoimmune stuff going on. And then when I came out of it, it felt like a pop. It literally felt like I had birthed something. And when I opened my eyes, I was laying, my back and my body was like splayed out on my coffee table, and my legs were over the back of my couch. Like I had literally just given birth. But I started off laying horizontal on my couch. So when I laid back, my arms were cold because it was a window that I turned into a coffee table. So my arms were feeling the coldness of the glass. And then I like looked at my hands, and when I looked at my hands was when I was joined in hands with like millions of these crones and deep understanding of the connection of the womb and the sacred feminine being creative and receptive and it being a container for life and it having nothing to do with my concept of woman or womanhood.
yeah. So when when you share about feeling like you were giving birth, so I and an old friend that I did a lot of healing work with for 9 years, I'll give her a shout out, Merle Schweitzer. She is 60, I think, or 60, she might be 61 now. Does not even remotely look it. She's from the Philippines. We did a lot of healing work together, and some of the work that was done was, and I've also personally experienced going through this, but was helping women literally spiritually give birth through the womb portal, releasing things or creating things. And whenever I have personally gone through like receiving a download or like a guide, something from my guides to create something, it usually is within the span of how long it would take to to create and conceive a child. spiritually, you literally give birth. And I've gone through like pain where my belly will be like super like big and bloated, and then all of a sudden I'm like having pains, and then I realize I'm literally giving birth to this thing that I've been called to create. So very real what you experienced, and yes, you spiritually, energetically did give birth.
Mhm.
And that is extremely powerful. And then what you described, seeing all the crones and all the women connected through the womb, I wanted to share two things, which was when I was giving birth to my daughter, Serenity. I had her at home, and it was a house I lived in a long time ago. And the place that I birthed her in was like crazy because it was like downtown in a city that like you wouldn't think would be like the kind of place that you would have a home birth. And the way that I saw the ancient ones and the elementals and the angelic realm and just everybody like create this literal world around the place that I lived in at the time. And I was listening to this audio that I found, thankfully, and it literally sounded like the grandmother fairy from Fern Gully.
Aw.
It was literally her voice. And she was guiding through, it was a hypnobirth thing that I found. And she was guiding you through, and she was like, focus on the color, whatever the color was, and like all the things. When I was literally pushing my daughter out into the water, she said green, and then she was like, imagine all the trees and whatever. As I saw the trees, I literally saw my energy branch out and connect to every living organism on the planet, like all the trees, all the bushes, all the life, the the mycelium, the everything. And then I needed strength because I was like so exhausted and mentally, physically, emotionally. And I like out loud said, I call on all women
Mhm.
everywhere. And I literally saw exactly what you described, but it was like this energetic branching out. And it was like to every woman that I had a connection to, these light, like branches were connecting to all of the women. And I literally felt them all send me strength. And in that moment, I pushed my daughter out.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really incredibly powerful. And she's literally like, I don't even want to talk about her too much on here, but she so she's so so special. Like she's my greatest, genuinely my greatest gift. And
Mm.
my sons are as well. It's just different with your daughter. Like my sons are like, I love you, mom, but I'm over here doing my thing. My daughter is like, she's just she's learning from me, and
Mhm.
she's learning what does it look like to be a woman. And of course, like, I'm an old soul, so I have this like bar to hold my standards up to. And years ago, when I had my oldest son, 19-year-old, I said, I'm not going to have my girl until I'm ready to be the example of the woman that she's
Mhm.
meant to be. And I'm telling you, it's been a journey, and I wish that I was a better version of myself when I had her, but I was going through a lot. But anyway, really, really, really resonate with what you shared, and it's incredibly powerful. You're
Thank
here
you.
to do some really important work.
Thank you. One
Um,
of my offerings is I do orc portraits, but not like no, not the Polaroids with the colors. Like I draw what I'm seeing in someone's aura, and I drew a pregnant mother once, and what I saw was exactly what you described with the trees. Like I've never, I was overwhelmed with emotion when I was doing her portrait, because it was this feeling of like, you are lucky that you get to see the inner workings of this right now. So don't get it twisted that you were before anything other than complete divinity. Because this woman, she was pregnant with twins. She had a lot of times the orc portraits will have like an as above, so below flavor to them. So there's like oftentimes roots and a tree type of shape. Sometimes it's angel wings. Different things will come up, but there is like a mirrored type of thing. This was entirely different. This was a huge trunk tree with all of this. I mean, her womb was just covered in abundance of like vegetables, fruits, flowers, just like foliage, just life everywhere. And there were so many hands involved, and the tree was massive, and the roots went way deeper than I could ever conceptualize. And her babies, and it's so crazy because her babies showed up as these things on either side, and I saw their little chakra systems forming, and I drew it on there. And then, like months later, I have a book called The Hands of Light, and it's basically just like a study book for the energetic realm and how to heal within it or whatever. And they had a page about babies, chakras forming. And the image I drew was identical to what was in this book. And I had not seen it. So I was like, holy shit. But I got to understand the energetics of a pregnant person in a way where I was like, the issue that, to go back to what you're talking about how like the household situation needs to be different. What I learned through my friends being pregnant is that there is this like ancient calling from community to swoop in, because to have a baby and to birth it and to take care of it in its early days is not designed to be something that's done between two people. It is supposed to be done in community. It's supposed to be done in a container, and it's supposed to be done with a ton of other women around, other womb bearers,
Right.
because there's truth in this idea that there is purpose to the fact that the masculine is full of energy to go forward, and that the inherent purpose of the feminine is to receive and to generate and to tend. That's not necessarily like patriarchal, that's energetic.
Right.
And there is truth to like ancient cultures. The men go out and hunt and gather, and the women make sure that the home is tended to. That's not to say that like there's a binary expectation of roles all the time. When it comes to specifically the generating, like the rearing and the taking care of a baby, this moment in time of like this woman just gave birth to a life, so her bowels and her body are widened and need to be like kind of allowed to come back to itself, so she shouldn't be doing anything. She should
Yeah.
be doted after. And those who aren't pregnant, like I don't plan on having kids. I know I'm going to be the best uncle ever to my brother and sister's children, but I don't feel like human children are for me in this lifetime. But that doesn't mean there is not this like, I mean, I'm not related to this woman, but I love her like a sister, and I feel like whispers of what I can imagine will happen when my own sister or sister-in-law is pregnant with a baby that is connected to me
Yeah.
lineage. Like this community baby that we're having, I feel tied to like energetically and spiritually. Like this is, we joke about it being the dream lab baby because we're all like involved in the rearing and like preparing of the home. And we spent a day building furniture for her. And we spent a day like deciding how we're going to do group meals, like help teach each other how to make batch meals together so that when it comes to like the fall and this baby is like, you know, young enough to be learning how to do XYZ, but still too little to really like have space for this mother to take care of herself. Like that's when we'll come in and like take care of each other. But there's just like this, I think that is the conversation that needs to be had, is that family rearing is designed to be done in community. And I think that there's a lot missing from us being so sequestered in this idea that mom and dad and babies beside themselves away. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it's like I've tried to say these things for so long that I'm tired.
Yeah, I
And
feel that.
you're saying it at a perfect time, and it, it's it's time for certain aspects of how things were to come back, and then for old things that don't serve humanity's highest good to die off. And one of those things that is deep rooted is the concept, and not the concept, but the reality that community is what families are supposed to experience, and village is what's supposed to raise those children.
Right.
And the sisterhood is supposed to be there, and I never had that. I had, okay, let me rephrase. I had one friend who did show up when my youngest son Felix was born, and she stayed with me for 2 weeks. Her name is Tiffany. I think she goes by Burner, but I'm not sure. I haven't talked to her for a long time. But I just wanted to give her credit because she's truly a gift for when I needed her the most. But she stayed with me for 2 weeks.
Mm.
She was also very self-taught midwifery. I had my son in the water, same house, in the old house my daughter was born in, and it was just me, my ex-husband, her, my other boys. Gabriel and Kai were here. I didn't have my daughter yet, obviously. And Tiffany's sister Emily showed up for that day, and she watched my other sons when I was giving birth. And she was the only person I've ever had show up for me like that. Every other experience and afterwards, I've done essentially alone for the most part. And I had to get up like after having my daughter, and I felt, literally physically felt my organs like moving in ways that they shouldn't, because you're not really supposed to be up and lifting things and doing things and walking around a lot after giving birth. But this happens to so many women, and it's such a deep, like, this is so important for people to understand, is that you're not meant to do this alone, and you're not weak for needing help and support.
Right.
I have that, what you're saying, but like in such a like deep way, in a big way, where I know someone's having a baby, I'm like, oh, I can help you get I want to, I want to buy all the things, and I want to show up, and I want to make the food. And that's why I was so guided into midwifery and doula. And it's like, I had these big visions of like, okay, I'll be with them before the birth, I'll be with them during the birth, and then after the birth, I can bring meals and blah, blah, blah. It's like, how can I support her through every part of that process? And yeah, it's just it's lacking, and it's a big conversation again that it needs to be had in depth, because women need to understand, and men need to understand, and families need to understand that we're not weak for needing support. And it's biologically like built into our cells that we're supposed to have sisters, we're supposed to have support systems, people are supposed to rally around you when you have a baby. It's a huge life event. You're literally supposed to rest, and other people are supposed to help make food and support your other kids and whatever. It's like, you need help. It's okay to have help, and it doesn't make you weak. Redoing and overhauling these paradigms is paramount to changing the way society is structured moving forward into the future. And if we don't start having these conversations now, then it's just gonna like the problem's gonna keep being there in everybody's face, and no one's gonna know how to fix it. But
Yeah.
these kind of conversations that have to happen in order for everybody to have a conscious thought of like, oh, because I feel like a lot of people need permission. Like they hear someone else say, you're not weak for needing help. You gave
Right.
like, it's okay to need help.
Yeah.
you're not weak. You're actually really fucking strong. You just pushed a human being out of your body.
Right.
And
Literally,
you
you
grew
grew a human child for 9 months in your body.
it's like what?
Literally. Yeah. I think there's big connections too to this time period. Like we can't necessarily trust the government to take care of us in the ways that maybe it has, or we've been like brainwashed to believe that it had this whole time. The higher up we go, the more corporate-y, overlord, and privatized it's going to get. And so we're kind of in a point where we're going to have to depend on each other to get through this period of time that we're in. And what needs to happen to be able to do that is being able to see yourself and your neighbor, being able to acknowledge when like somebody is temporarily depleted and you have temporary excess of whatever that is, whether it's time or energy or money. There needs to be a shift in our thinking of, well, I mean, the world above me is crumbling and I can't control that necessarily, but I can control my immediate situation. So if I look in my own neighborhood and I'm seeing XYZ that are in need of whatever it may be, whether it's a baby, a mother and a baby, or it's a person going through a mental health crisis, or a person who's moving, or a person who's in between jobs. Like there's a million things that could cause temporary depletion and whatever your resources may be. And like have you ever heard of the book A Course of Miracles?
Yes, I don't remember who wrote it. Oh,
I don't remember either.
uh,
But
Dr. Wayne Dyer, maybe?
maybe, yeah. The whole gag, I'm only like a tiny little bit into it, but is basically learning Jesus's teachings, and then there is this like daily practice of like deconstructing your mind around certain things. And one of the things that stood out to me about the concept of a miracle is that miracles, if and again, like I want to acknowledge, I'm not trying to like force these terminologies. It's just the terminology that's used in the Course of Miracles.
No, look it up
Spirit,
while you're talking.
okay. Spirit or the Holy Spirit or God or whatever definition of higher power works through people. So a miracle is something that happens through another person, that is a person who has temporary excess giving to somebody who has temporary depletion. And if we think about miracles in that context, that is how the world operates, is, or should operate rather, is this acknowledgement of like, okay, the divine creator is making sure that everybody has what they need. And in order to do that, he's got to work through a person that has what he needs to deliver to that person available in them, whether it's like a word you have to say, a conversation to have, or a meal to give. But I like to think about that kind of being our next project as humanity, is getting back into this idea that we are all a part of one another, and whether it's a man and a woman or whoever it may be, whatever identities they hold, whatever belief systems they hold, even if they're totally in contrast to you, there's still an element to their humanhood that is worthy of love. And
Right.
I think that's kind of our next task, is to get rid of this division that exists either gender wise or belief or whatever it may be, dissolving the binary, the black and white thinking, so that we can do what we are literally put on earth to do, which is to build each other up and to continue the human race in one way or another. Take care of the earth. The earth is here full of abundance. Everybody has enough on the planet. It's manufactured that there is lack. You know, it's a created scarcity by the powers that be.
Right.
And there should be no reason that people are without food. There should be no reason that there's somebody raising a baby by themselves. Like we have plenty of love to give.
And there
There's
should
just
be no homeless people.
that call.
Yeah, 100%. I wanted to say it's by Dr. Helen Schuck, S-H, or sorry, SCHUCMAN.
I don't know how to say that there.
Yeah, I
It's an
don't know.
interesting ride. Do you recommend?
Yeah, I've heard really good things about that book. I wanted to say too, you gave me well, I had an inspiration while you were talking is when you said when you have extra to give, it's just all about like creating the cycle, because you give to someone who's in need, and when they can, they give to someone, and it's like it's literally what
100%.
connects us all. But I had an inspiration that came to me, and it's something I want to tap into later on. But it makes sense of like the grandmas and the aunties and the older generations who are able to come through for women who are just giving birth and just having their children and younger. It would be really a beautiful thing to see, like us as a society, to create some sort of program that women who are older or people who are older could be like for the women who are having children, maybe particularly people who don't have any family or resources, teens who may be out on the street and don't have family, whatever, but the moms who don't have anybody who need support, to have community programs where it's like, hey, this person needs help, they need meals, they need baby clothes, they need blankets, whatever it is, but everybody who can donate to that program and give, and then moms can go and get support. Or maybe there's rare occasions where there's a dad who has the baby and the mom dipped out or whatever, but just families who can come and get support who don't have help. More often than I think we realize is a lot of families don't have support. And I feel like a big reason of why that happens is because people are as humanity is awakening, people are realizing that their parents and grandparents are not healthy for them, that the way they were raised and adopted those behaviors as a mom or a dad or a family member are toxic, even abusive. I don't like to say narcissism a lot because it is a really heavy, like blanketed term for a lot of different things, but I have experienced a lot of narcissistic behaviors from people my whole life. So, I mean, I do like very intimately know what it looks like, but same time, autism also looks like narcissism. So it's like I said, there's a lot of like, it's a really big term for, could mean a lot of different things. But anyway, a lot of family members are really toxic and unhealthy, and a lot of families, moms and dads, are realizing like, I don't think I want my kids around them.
Mhm.
And they're dealing with the guilt because, yeah, they want grandparents for their kids, and yeah, they want support, but do they want their kids to experience secondhand trauma that they experienced growing up? And then you have the parents who want to do more gentle, spiritually conscious parenting. And then you have the older generations, or the generations that are like my generation, who already got indoctrinated with the toxic parenting paradigms and programs, who are like, you need to spank your kids, you need to do this and that, and you need to whatever. And you're spoiling your kids, or the kids are not going to listen to your gentle parenting. Another conversation for another time, but it's really segregating, for lack of a better word, families from each other, because it's like either you do it alone and you have virtually no support in the physical world, and or you choose to be inclusive with your family, and then you have the potential, which more than likely it's going to happen, to have toxic bullshit your kids are going to have to experience.
Yeah.
So having something, this is again reprogramming our literal societal structures, but having programs set in place that are women centers or family support centers where people can donate. I have a little bit of extra, I can donate some blankets. Grandmas love making blankets. Like,
Very
there's
cool.
so many grandmas and great grandmas that literally have hobbies of knitting and crocheting blankets that they can donate to these kind of programs. Like, that's just what came to me, is just like there's so many ways that people can come together, but someone has to create the
Mhm.
structure for the program to exist for the love to pour in.
Yeah,
Okay.
true.
So I wanted to ask you, unless you had something else that you wanted to talk about, I wanted to ask you what are all the things that you're working on that you wanted to tell the world and promote?
Yeah. I am lots of things are like crowning, if you will, that have been in gestation for a long time. Um, a couple of my friends in that Dream Lab group, we are in business together officially, but it's not public yet. It will be soon.
That's
Um, but our whole MO is teaching or making sure people know how to find home in their own bodies. And all of us have done that ourselves, respectively, in different ways. So we're all three bringing our own skill sets to the table, but we're also trying to provide as many free resources that we utilized as possible. That any type of money making is like something people want to do to further their experience. But our main driver is to make sure that there is free resources to be able to heal. If you don't have access to therapy, these are some YouTube channels that we individually used to
wow.
learn XYZ. So keep an eye out for that. I will be when it is ready, it will be announced in some way on my TikTok, probably either like in the bio or something. It's feeling like something that needs to stay pretty small at the top. So I don't know what it's going to look like, if it's going to be a public announcement or if it will be sort of word of mouth until it grows on its own. But I'm excited about that. Me personally, my own offerings that I am open to at any point are auric portraits. Those don't have to be anything specific either. I've had some people where we do a whole entire watercolor painting that is this very ornate and detailed snapshot of what is in their aura as a reminder of the support system they have. I've had other clients that have a more like a prescriptive type of aura portrait where I draw certain things that are blocked in there and some little solutions to help free them of whatever's in there. So if anybody is curious or wants an orc portrait, my DMs are open to explore that. I can do that via Zoom, it does not have to be in person. And we can talk about different ways of receiving that portrait, whether it is like a full painting that I mail or if it's digital or whatever people are looking to receive, whether it's like, I want this for my wall or I just want this for context for how I'm flowing. Oftentimes I'll pull cards as a part of it. It's usually something that is more of a conversation with spirit, and I'm just the conduit than anything. Um,
I'll put
and
your,
then
oh,
go ahead,
sorry.
sorry.
I was saying I'll put your links on the YouTube, and I'll tag you on everything on TikTok, and then I'll put your links on YouTube. Eventually, I'm going to push everything, the new stuff, over to Spotify, which lets me put more links than YouTube does. But I'll
Cool.
definitely put your username and everything on TikTok, and then you can say it here as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my TikTok and Instagram is Abby Ding the Alchemist. I don't really do a lot on Instagram. I'm not a huge fan of Instagram, but I have it. I don't know.
I'm
It
not
feels like I
either.
should have it around. But I post a lot on TikTok. I am like definitely allowing that to grow on its own. I have a dream that I will be paid primarily from my TikTok in one way or another so that I can do other things.
Yeah, I'm working towards that as well. I feel strongly led to do that. For me, it's just been like actually putting myself out there and more. So, like I said earlier, I've always been so private, so it's like, I mean, I'm also funny, and I feel like I've had to deal with so much serious all the time that it started to really weigh me down, and maybe that's part of what I was lifting yesterday, but I don't, okay. this has been for years. I just want to share this really quick. I know it's a soul thing because I know it is literally my soul that feels this, but it's like a, if I let my goofy side come out too much, will they still take me serious when I talk to them about multidimensional things?
Oh, dude, I totally feel that. I totally feel that. I think it's a classic both and. I mean, I honestly think if we don't add a little bit of sarcasm to the delivery, then it sounds like,
Boring.
yeah, not boring, worrying. Like it sounds like
It's too stressful.
doomsday-ish, or sometimes it can be like, I don't know. I feel like it's really important that we add some levity to this very dense time.
100%. And honestly, I think I'm hitting a point where now I'm like, those who really, really, really see and know and feel are going to feel my soul anyway. And they're going to know that I can literally make a fart joke and then also talk to you about like what's going to happen in the next 5 years, planetary scale. And it's going to still be taken just as important.
I mean, I look for that as a seeker. I look for people that are able to be goofy about it. If somebody is like so in their serious, like this is what's going to happen, and if you don't do these things, you're going to die. I'm like, perfect. That's not for me. That's not the way I want to learn. So I think that you should definitely add your humor to those things. I think that will bring about people that people need that. People need that from you.
Thank you. I feel like another thing that I want to share real quick is spiritual people who also do things like video games and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of the spiritual community, especially like the more master level people, are embarrassed. Like if they do other things that are seen as more like normal human type things.
Mm.
I didn't play video games for a really, really long time. And then being with my partner, Jeremy, he's almost 4 years now. He plays video games every day. And so I went from doing like healing arts fair, like serious, like super serious, like bringing forth collective messages and stuff, to my whole world like falling apart and everything changed and left my ex-husband for good and a lot of really crazy stuff happened. And Jeremy actually like brought me into the world of like video games. And I was like, I don't play video games anymore. You know, I played a little bit here and there because my ex-husband was a gamer and stuff, but like I was like, I don't do any of that. I don't watch TV. I don't do any of that. And it wasn't because I like had a problem with people who do. It's just like I was just constantly in my soul so much, so heavy on like all the things that were happening and being called in all these different directions that I was like, I don't even have time for that.
Mm.
My kids play, you know, play all their different stuff, but I started playing video games with him, and this will be actually my first time I publicly announced this, and and you know what, it teaches me a lot.
Amen.
It's really interesting. I'm actually learning like, okay, I'll share with, okay, or I'll just stutter. I'll start with I'll start with it teaches about how our higher self is operating, for me anyway, is operating the physical form in this, what it seems like as like this is like this reality simulation, right? Or whatever this reality is. But like it feels like how my higher self operates myself here. I'm then holding a controller and operating a character in that world. So I'm learning so much because I'm like, okay, so, and this is a lot of stuff I haven't actually like talked about yet, but I'm learning like so many things, but like if I can master my skills there, it helps me learn to master my skills here.
Mhm.
One thing Oh, this is gonna be really weird. Because people are gonna be like, what? One thing I've played is Call of Duty. I never thought I would play that. Never ever. But it's crazy because okay, like my masculine, like my God side is like loves it and just like yeah, like all of it. It's just be better than all those guys. Because it's such a the men in there, so many men in there are super toxic. And
Mm.
I've asked my higher self and then I've asked like source consciousness, like, why am I even playing this? Like, why was I led to play any of these games? And I realized that I've been bringing light into a very dark world.
Mm.
There's others that are doing it, but because of my connection to source energy and the universal light, I'm literally pouring it in. So the previous one that he started me on playing, it's so funny that I'm sharing this now. So the previous one that he started me on playing, I started literally daily when I would play it, I would pour source energy in. The following Call of Duty that came out, the new one, the amount of spiritual imagery and because I kept asking, I was like, Source, put your energy in these video games, and I kept pulling it in. I said into all video games, but into the specific ones that I was playing around with. So the first week I tried Fortnite. I started seeing a shift happen, and then a month later they put a replica of the goddess that I have on my arm.
Wow.
And then the following month, they put the love goddess in, and her facial structure was mine. And it was so funny because I had this Halloween costume. It was just for fun, but it was a goddess outfit in my closet in the old house. Her outfit was exactly my thing that I had hanging up, and it had a little pink holster with a pink gun on the side. It was so funny.
Love that.
Yeah, but so this new Call of Duty, like it has like worlds where it like in the zombie map, because he was playing that. He was showing me like there's like mushrooms, like light made of light, purple, violet, and blue light, like spirit world mushrooms, showing like the magical, like the realm of spirit. And then so he knows, but I said for years previously to this coming out, I said my favorite fire to work with is the violet flame, and then of course the holy flame. Everything in this game is like violet flames, blue flames, violet flames, and I'm like,
Wow.
the eyes. I said violet eyes are my favorite. Multiple characters with just or white or beaming violet eyes.
Mm.
It's really crazy. So I'm seeing the shifts happening. And so I'm like, okay, of course I'm not like the only one doing this, right? But I'm calling it in. And
Totally.
I'm like, why was I guided to play video games? But then I realized it's teaching me so much.
Dude, yeah.
Self mastery. It's teaching me how to operate this physical presence in this world better because I'm learning how to operate. Because, and here's the thing that I find interesting, and this comes to me also. I feel because we can create a mental separation between your character in a video game, if something happens to them, it's like whatever, they're going to respawn, right? So we don't have as much fear surrounding the choices that we make in the game. So we can kind of like learn how to facilitate like what that character is doing without the attachment of fear and emotion. So then we learn how to use our senses better because we're like, oh, like you're using your intuition all the time. When you're playing a war-based game, you're literally using ninja skills. You're like, okay, I have to sense like, is there people over here? Are those people going to be better than me? Don't go that way, stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
really interesting. But yeah, I've tried different games, and Jeremy is funny because he's like, you don't understand how good you actually are at these.
Aw.
He's like, you don't give yourself enough credit because you're actually really good at all these different games.
I love
Never
that.
did I think I would become a video game player.
I also play video games, but I only play one. I play Zelda like shit. You ever played Zelda?
Yeah.
I have it right, literally right here next to me. I was just playing before this call. If you were into that realm of thought, I implore you to revisit Zelda because Zelda to me is the pinnacle of the hero's journey in psychology and the spirit realm, but in a video game. Especially Tears of the Kingdom is the second one on the Switch. And it's got Sky Islands, and then the ground level, and then the depths, which is the shadow world.
Yeah.
And my friends are so tired of me being like, I have a story to tell. I'm going to use Zelda as the analogy because best, it like has everything I need in an analogy form to get the message across. There's like,
They're not tired of you.
oh my God, it's so good. And like what I love about specifically Zelda is that Link, the character that you're playing as, never speaks. The entire franchise, Zelda's been around since like the fifth, no, it's not the 50s, listen to me. Since like the 70s, question mark, can't confirm, but for a long time. Never in the entire franchise does Link say anything. He just makes these little grunts.
Yeah.
And he's purposely like gender ambiguous. And the designers of the game made it so that anybody can approach the game and see themselves as Link.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is a hero's journey, trying to like get Zelda, who is the light. Like in Tears of the Kingdom, she sorry, spoiler to anyone who's listening. Zelda transforms herself into the light dragon. So she, throughout the whole series, to me, represents like individuation, like the path to enlightenment. But yeah, I fucking love video games as an allegory for the spiritual path, like especially Zelda. There is a book called The Psychology of Zelda. If you are like into that, like oof, chef's kiss. It just brings in like Jungian psychological theory into video game atmosphere. It's amazing. I
I
will
love
be
that.
a video games forever.
What's it called?
The Psychology of Zelda. It's
Okay.
is it right here? I think I gave it to someone to borrow. So I don't know who the author is.
I played it, gosh, I'm several years when I was a kid, and I want to say all the way up until 16, probably 15. Because when I hit 16, my path went crazy in totally different direction. But yeah. It's interesting. I'm actually getting really close to telling my story in a real way and closer than I've ever been. And I'm convincing myself that people are going to actually hear it and care too. Because even though I know it's wild and can help so many people, I also have like layers of things where like I never literally ever want to trauma dump on anybody. So like I don't want it to be like I'm sharing my story and then people are like, what in the actual fuck? And then hurt because I shared my hurt. I don't want that. I know it's inevitable because there are people who do care, which I've yet to experience a lot of yet in this life. That's why I wanted to say earlier, I'm so happy for you that you have the friend group that you have and just like the support that you have. That is so incredibly beautiful. The level I've dealt with everything alone for so long. I'm not alone in the sense of I have my team and I have the divine, and that is and always has been more than enough for me. But in the physical world, it would help me to have support. It's just like support I can actually trust and people who actually love me the way I love them, you know. But I guess like not having people in the world that I feel like have actually really cared about me has created this like belief in my brain that maybe there's like no one is going to really care when I share my story kind of thing. So that's something I'm getting over because I know that there's a lot of people that will in fact actually really benefit from hearing my
Huh.
story. And I want the ones who are meant to hear me and listen and really take in like what I have experienced to take away from it what they need, but also I want them to take away from it that if I can get to where I'm at now and where I'm heading and go through what I went through and not become a lifelong drug addict, end up in, an institution or whatever, or dead, and like actually still fucking be here and like doing what I'm doing and like even be like working on thriving, you can too. Because
Yeah.
when I tell you, like, it is a consecutive slew of miracles that made sure I'm still in this world. Yeah. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. And I'm amazed, but I'm thankful. So I think I just have to get over it and do it anyway, which is where I'm at because I'm being heavily led. I even had a conversation with a really, really old soul who does quantum healing hypnotherapy work that I also have been trained in, but she was given the guidance to tell me like you need to share your story now. But yeah, so it's beautiful that you have such a supportive, loving friend group because there's a lot of people that don't, and like it's such a gift, especially when you can trust them and you know that they actually have your back and they're there for you and they show
Well,
up.
I'll say it too. Not, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you. I was gonna say that that friend group, it took me 2 years to warm up to them. Like, I deeply relate to being in total solitude with your experience and having to like watch your shoulder all the time because the people that were closest to you were just waiting for you to fall to like sabotage your every move.
yeah,
So I think that there is extraordinary benefit to you sharing your story, number one, because I mean, this was true for me. When people shared their own stories, I was able to take little granules of truth that like related to my circumstance. But then for other people to be like, hey, this is how it used to be, and I did these uncomfortable things and look at all these crazy things that like blow my mind all the time. That's like me trusting that it could happen for me because I'm listening to somebody talk about it happening for them. But the process of getting my friends that I have now meant I did really uncomfortable things, like put myself out there to share my story, but not necessarily in the same way, but in a way where I was like, well, I got to be authentic. If I'm trying to be connected to somebody in a way that I want to be connected to, I have to let them in to see the wholeness, and it might be a little bit dark and weird. And there's lots of times when I was like, literally in the middle of my speech, I could feel my throat wanting to close, being like, "Oop, you're getting too much. You're getting it's getting too dark. Like, turn around." But then I was like, "Well, no, this is exactly what I'm wanting to push myself to these boundaries because I can't get where I want to go unless I don't make myself uncomfortable in the process."
yeah.
So I commend you for that process.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know that for me, because I do work on a collective level, it's not it's not a matter of if I want to or feel like it. I feel in my soul and my heart that it's really important, and it's also important to me personally because I feel like if I don't, then everything I went through will just kind of be like I just went through it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's like, well, wait, I don't want to just like have to have suffered and gone through all this crazy shit and then not have like my experience and the things I learned and the ways that I've been able to find healing and like come into myself and like literally, as you said, come home to my literal body with my soul, layer by layer by layer by level, and like realize that that in and of itself is a process that you don't just like snap in one day usually and you're just here. Like it's a literal, you have to literally undo programs and then
Right.
old belief systems and then dissolve blocks that are in your literal body and your spirit that stop you from bringing your soul into your body. And even when you bring your soul into your body, it's going to leave back up and out if it experiences things it doesn't like, and you have to bring it back in. And it's like there's so many different layers to this experience. So like even that, like all by itself, sharing that experience worldwide and saying like, hey, my path wasn't pretty, and I mean some parts of it were, but like a lot of it wasn't, and it was really fucking hard. And just because you see me here now like saying all these nice things on the internet doesn't mean that I didn't have days and days and days where I literally couldn't even get up, and I was laying down feeling like I have no idea how I'm gonna do any of this anymore. But this is how I pulled myself through, and this is what my thought process was, and this is the steps that I took, and maybe this can help you too, you know. So I really feel like that's a big reason of why I do need to actually share my story. And something else came to me real quick, I'll share. I was 19. My soul's showing me this really vivid. I was 19. No, I was 18. I was 18 and I had just given birth to the baby that I had before my oldest son. And I'm sorry ahead of time. It is sad. And I remember like I was like prepared, you know, as best as I could be. I was like, all right, I'm gonna be a mom. And they told me like if he survived, he was going to be like probably severely mentally handicapped because of the issues that were going on. And the father was like really, really, really atrocious to me. He was on drugs. I didn't know he was on drugs. Like it was a whole thing. And he was 32. I was 18, just turned 18. Didn't know he was 32. Yeah, long story. So I gave birth, was devastated, and I was like in the middle, like in just getting induced before I gave birth. Sorry, I just got induced because they said that he had already passed, and my mom was in the hospital with me, and there was like a fly flying in the room, and I was like, absolutely not, and it was flying really slow, and so I got a cup and like trapped him in the cup and put him up on the shelf and just kept him trapped in there. And my mom was like, I was laughing. And my mom was like, I don't know how you're like able to be, you know, like still funny and laughing and stuff. And the nurse came in and I told her what happened. Dude, I was incredibly devastated. Like, but I was like making jokes and stuff. And she was like, I don't know how you are able to be so positive. And I looked at her and I vividly remember this. I said, this was my soul. I said, one day I'm going to use all the experiences that I had to help other people. And that's why I can be positive.
I love that.
And I was like 18 years old.
I love that.
Yeah, so I've carried that with me, you know. It's like I've gone through a lot and I've said, all right, like, can it get better now? And, you know, then the more trauma, more whatever. I was like, okay, can it get better now? I was like, I'm not asking that anymore. I'm just going with the flow because I can't deal with any more of the other stuff. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to take each day as it comes. And, thank you for my blessings.
Yeah, I love that. Beautiful.
Yeah, I think I learned my lesson. I hope. But yeah, so I just had to share that because I'm grabbing my glasses because my eyes are super blurry. Because I just like, I know. I know that I went through all this for my own soul's evolution, for my own experiences, to help me come into the master and the healer and the divine being that my soul is in the physical form. And also to utilize my story and my experiences and my teaching, my wisdom, my gathered, this is what I've learned to help other people. Because yes, I have also to like been just divinely led to a social media like TikTok or whatever and seen someone's story pop up and then feel really called to listen to them and then realize that like there was a lot of things that they shared that really helped me and made me feel less alone. And I have to remind myself that there's so many people in the world that they're waiting to hear how the fuck I did it.
Right.
So they can do it too, because Jesus Christ, it's hard out here.
Amen. I feel the shit out of that.
Anyway, I feel like I should let you get going because we've been on here for a while.
It's been a fun conversation.
I've really enjoyed having you on, and you genuinely have surprised me, but at the same time, it's like, it's not, if that makes sense, because my soul, it's like my soul's like, yeah, that's why we had her on. But you remind me of so many things, and one thing that you remind me of is every single person and every single soul has a very unique piece of the puzzle. And I'm also being reminded too, like, of this saying. It's an old African saying. They basically, like, the translation in English is basically like humanity is like spokes on a wheel, like a bike wheel. And if you break just one off and you remove it, eventually the wheel is going to become compromised and it's going to break down over time. And what that teaching was is that every single person, regardless of what we want to think about them, every single person serves a purpose to the bigger picture in humanity. And I will say, living so alone I'm not alone because I have my children and I have Jeremy here, and I have us and I have my team, but not having friends outside of us, not having support systems and stuff, being so alone in my mind and like in meditation all of the time, I genuinely forget that there's other people like me out here, and it's just really beautiful to hear so much wisdom and experience and just absolute masterfully put together spiritual concepts and thoughts and ideas come from you. It's like,
Thank you.
that's what this is all about.
I love that.
Yeah, like that's what this is all about.
Absolutely.
This whole podcast was birthed to be a literal portal and vortex to connect all of us that are here doing the work for humanity and coming here to have these experiences and learn and help each other and be the bridge between spirit and the physical world. We need to have this. We need to have this like sense of like, hey, there's other people out here doing this too, and we're all doing it together. And we can't help every single person as one person. Like you have, and you're going to have in the future bigger, but you have your own community that you're going to help. and I have my community that I'm going to help. And it's like there's people in Spain that have their communities. So like we had to be strategically put all over the world
Right.
to like, have our people that we're supposed to help. And I guess this is time now for me to find mine.
Amen. I love that, Jessica. Thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
It was really, really awesome having you on. Thank you.
I
And
hope
you
you
got me to.
talk about your gamer stuff.
I'm so
Yes, dude.
nervous, but
That
hey,
could be a whole, you could do a whole series about that.
I really feel like it's so important to, because there's a lot of stigma and like shame around game, like people who play video games and stuff. But it's only not like everybody looks at it like that. But I'm just saying, like when it comes to like, I feel like people have it in their mind that like only a certain kind of people play video games and like, you know what I mean? And so it's like, how can you be spiritual or how can you be a master? How can you be all these things and play video games? Like, it kind of is spiritual. It kind of really is. It's also like an extension of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And it's so, yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah, there's a whole conversation on that. All right. Well, I hope you have an incredible, beautiful rest of your week. And thank you.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. I'll talk to you.
See ya.
All right.